Hello everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed and welcome back to Chemically Bonded. We're starting to understand the situation that we are in and what it is that we need to do. And also, Naomi isn't horrible to us anymore. As usual, the cafeteria is full of life as the people around gather at tables to eat and talk. Their daily routines. The stragglers like myself left to fend for remaining food they can get as the noise within the room increases to that of typical school levels. The now afternoon sun now beating through the windows, leaving me famished for a drink as I stroll leisurely towards the vending machines. To be honest, I need something to refresh myself after dealing with all of the commotion this past week.
Where do you think you're going?
Hello, Naomi. I'm glad to see you're here and yet you're nice to us. Stopping me in my path, I almost choke as Naomi speaks up. Grabbing me by the collar, she does. Of course, yes, this is not the first time she does that. Brr, her skin briefly skirting across the back of my neck is still as soft as I expected it to be. Considering this was the girl who had a problem even looking at me, she seems awfully comfortable confronting me with most of the school as her audience. I'm going to get a drink.
Here.
Thrusting a bottle into my hands, the chill of the drink and the warmth of her hands mixed to create a unique sensation at my fingertips. Her face showing what's now a commonly embarrassed expression is shyly shifted away from my own as she continues to speak up.
Come with me. Please.
What's going on here then? Naomi, now tugging my sleeve, looks up with a slightly woeful expression, a look coating her face that I'd rather not see, in contrast to her usual looks. Even if I do her wrath, her usual insults and jabs, I can't deny that she is rather, she didn't top both the guys and the girls' lists for no reason. Walking along with her, my eyes catch the heads of various people in the room tilt towards us. Sure, it's not that many, but our presence doesn't go unheeded in the room. A true reflection of Naomi's popularity. Despite spending so much time with her, despite getting so close to her, I can't see her as the person I thought she was anymore. Someone who was unreachable by the likes of me. A superstar. The popular girl. I'd always thought she could get any guy she wanted. And she can. But it's not as if she wanted to. Yeah, exactly. Walking out into the corridor, Naomi once again speaks up. A voice I'm used to, and rather fond of hearing.
We should probably go somewhere quiet. I want to talk.
Okay. About what?
Come on. It's not as if you don't know by now. I want to talk about Kiyoko.
I did, but it's always good to... Yeah, it's good to be polite at first rather than assuming and be like, okay, I literally thought it was going to be something completely different. Continuing on past the array of classrooms, my weary eyes watch out through the glass trying to spot out the very girl in both our minds. It's evident she'd find out eventually, yeah, like how she knew that we was talking with Naomi in Chapter 1. She'd find out all about the type of relationship I've had with Naomi, that we've become friends. As the afternoon light pierces through the tiny slivers of window along the corridor, Naomi's grip slides down from my sleeve and towards the embrace of my hand. What? A nervous feeling. She's shaking. The warmth she's held inside her, shaking about in my palm, grows even closer as all she does is continue to tighten her already fierce, lonely grip.
This way.
Oh, out here at the front of the school. Train around the school, we find ourselves bursting through the main doors into the fresh air outside. The world fades into silence as the sounds of students grow ever so muffled into the building behind us. The warmth of the sun complements Naomi's own. You're saying that Naomi is a sun? Okay. As both of us are graced by the passing spring breeze. Her hair, swaying softly in the wind, shines in the sunlight as she stands with her back towards my eyes. Are you sure we're even allowed out here? The question flies past her, giving instead a blank response as she continues to stare off into the distance. I guess now isn't the time for our usual back and forth routine. This is the real Naomi. You want to talk about her, right?
No. I just wanted to ask how your day was.
Why are you asking me that? I thought you said we was going to talk about Naomi and now we just completely did a 180 there.
Of course it's about her.
Turning to face, Naomi's eyes are filled with a sadness solemnly seen from her. Yet once I've come to know, her lips remain firm, locked into a sorrow-filled frown as they glisten in the light. Imagining the teardrops hanging from her eyes. Taking a short breath, words once again start flowing from her heart.
I just really want things to be normal again. I don't know what to do.
It's kind of granted that our plan, our attempts to unravel Kyoko's heart and tie it with her own hasn't been working out as well as we'd hope. The things Kiyoko holds are locked behind the thoughts of betrayal, regret and sorrow that separated them in the first place. The belief she can't be forgiven. But as long as those feelings are there, there's always a chance. Well, first things first, the first option is by far the worst one. Like, that's just saying that she's not trying hard enough with her own deep feelings when it comes to this scenario. Kiyoko feels the same. Kiyoko feels the same.
What makes you say that?
Naomi's face fills with a mix of hope and confusion, tears still occasionally falling from her face as she wipes at her eyes with her sleeve. For a blazer being battered about by the breeze, she really does look... Okay. I have been talking to her. Wasn't that the reason you asked for my help? It's not as if I didn't want to. I want to see you happy.
But... Kiyoko...
Her voice now filling further with despair, Naomi averts her eyes away as if to hide her emotions from my sight. An act of reservation from a girl usually dominating the world around her. Naomi this whole time has just been fragile. The heart inside her, broken, has only just began to bleed with true emotion. Kiyoko was just upset at the time. Wouldn't you be? It would have been hard to forgive you, having been thrust into loneliness. You were there for her, but do you think she could see that? Would it really have been clear for her? She just needs time to see the truth. She needs to see you really matter to her. Gosh, Naomi lifts her head only slightly from its sunken state. It's enough to see she's crying. If you were truly friends before, I'm sure Kiyoko would be more than willing to forgive you once she's had time to gather her thoughts. You just need to keep trying. Now in full view, Naomi's tears-coated face catches the sunlight. Teardrops sparkling in the sunlight diamonds. All that comes from her are whimpers and ragged breaths as she finally opens her eyes. A deep ocean of azure glossed over with the shine of tears as she wipes them away. Teardrops soaked into her shirt and sleeves.
You know what? You're right. I'm... sorry for dragging you into this. I bet you had no idea that things ran this deep between us. Did you?
Only by persevering the truth can we find out what that really is. And you hit it on the head. These things take time. It's not as if I didn't want to help. Not just for Kyoko's sake, but more importantly your own.
I don't need you looking down on me.
I'm not. I've been through this with you, haven't I? I just want to see you happy.
Thank you.
With those words, Naomi continues to wipe away the sadness from her face, quickly gathering composure. Seeing her like this, it's captivating. Her heart being truly made clear as her feelings are released from their cage. She really is something.
Anyway, we should probably head back inside before people see us.
Well, I think with all those windows, I think people have already seen
Class will
us.
start soon.
Ah, You still concerned about being seen together? I'd thought by now they should stop caring.
I mean that the teachers will see us here.
Yep.
You idiot.
For once it actually took effort for an insult to get out. A sign of sweeter things. Yeah, she's not just insulting us on the spot, she had to think about it as if she hesitated. Smiling softly towards me, Naomi's lips are marked with a faint redness from... Smiling softly towards me, Naomi's lips are marked with a faint redness from where she'd been biting them. Yet it still adds to her beauty, a sign of the troubles she's had to deal with for so long. Despite her call to head inside, we still stand here together, basking in each other's presence.
I'll try to talk to her again, but it might take me some time too.
Ending her sentence with yet another smile. But that's the best way to end the conversation off, isn't it? With a smile. Knowing that it doesn't matter how many tears or anguishes that have happened, the conclusion of this tale is that it ends with a smile. Which means it's done both good and bad. But bad and good. And, yep. All I can do is enjoy the moment as Naomi continues to talk softly. A new tone of voice, one different to the hostility I'd gotten so used to. Sounds beautiful.
You know, the science labs look over the entrance, right?
Yep.
Perhaps she's been watching us the entire time.
Yep, and that's how she found us out initially. Saying it jokingly, topping her thoughts with a laugh. Naomi's carelessness doesn't go unheeded in my mind as I reflect back over last week's events.
The lab looks over the school entrance.
Yep.
You two were there yesterday.
And?
Together.
Yep. Maybe. With her eyes now wider, filled with a newfound passion, Naomi closes the gap between us, resting her hand upon my shoulder.
But we should really head inside.
Yeah.
The bell rang a while ago.
Well, thank you very much, Einstein. What? Oh, retorting with a giggle, Naomi skips ahead of me towards the entrance, leaving me no option but to chase her. Caught up in her trances, we both huddle back to class like the delinquents we are. Being together like this, we do really seem like friends. We are friends. It's something I can be happy about. The feelings inside me now nestling, knowing that all we can do now is look towards the future. If we weren't friends, she wouldn't have let me see her cry. The only other person I can think she'd let see that is Kiyoko, yeah. What would this be now? I just really want things to be normal again. We just really want things to be normal again. Too relatable. Afternoon class has come to an end. A figurative sigh of relief emits from the surroundings as the class breaks out into lethargy. I still don't know how to pronounce that word. The teacher, not really caring to dismiss us, ends the class with a sigh of her own as she goes through her typical routine of addressing the work we're supposed to do at home. Yet right now, all that's on my mind are the thoughts of two people entwined together. Despite having that bond broken, or so I thought, their relationship is hard to break. Naomi and Kiyoko are both missing the world they held together, spending time with one another, as friends. As the sun seeps through the windows, a tranquil look of calmness fills the room as specks of dust sparkle in the air. The shadows of passing students slicing through the light as I too join them in raising from my seat. Moving my feet in rhythm, I make my way towards Kyoko's desk before stopping with a moment's hesitation. She looks low. I wonder why. Having just dealt with one outburst from Naomi, having a day filled with sorrow really wouldn't be invigorating. Indeed! No way! Are you okay?
No, it's all over.
What do you mean it's all over? What?
They kicked me out of the lab. I'm not allowed back in till tomorrow.
So what you're saying is it's not all over. You can only go back in until... You can't go in today. Why is that? What did you do? Go on. Hesitating briefly, Kiyoko's face becomes increasingly flustered as she looks down towards her desk. Such a tranquil sight quickly sprang back to that of Kiyoko's energetic self.
Drop the flask, okay? There.
You was thinking for an excuse for a while. I wonder what else there is.
There's now a hole in the floor. It had acid in.
Well, don't you think a day away from the lab is kind of, you know, it's not that much of a punishment, you know, Kiyoko. And you didn't get expelled for that. Why?
Because they called me a good girl. Or something like that. Just to keep getting good grades.
Alright, where would we be without her? Seeing how good her grades really are firsthand would be something to witness, with what midterms right around the corner. Yet my own question leaves me wondering what such a world would be like. Where'd I be without Kiyoko?
Hey.
Yeah, sorry, what? I guess I zoned out.
I said that the club's not cancelled. We can always do other stuff, right?
Like? Her enthusiastic nature is enough to draw the attentions of the old classmate. The straggler is still dwindling around in the room despite class being long over. I guess the two of us count too. Yeah, you're not wrong. Still, as Kiyoko smiles blissfully towards me, her hair caught up in the afternoon sun, I can only think of responding. I can't leave such a bright face waiting. What were you thinking?
Well, would you like to get a drink?
Yeah.
We can always figure things out from there.
What are you trying to say, figuratively? Alright. Kiyoko, with yet another captivating smile, raises from her seat with explosive passion. Almost enough to knock the chair over as it slides across the smooth floor with a screech. Kiyoko, this is your fault. Again. Covering her ears, Kiyoko comically scrunches her face in discomfort. That was your fault, you know.
What? I can't hear you.
Taking Kyoko's hands in my own, I bring them down to her side, our palms meeting briefly as Kiyoko stares towards me before quickly shifting her eyes away. The brief glimpse of her world as her chocolate eyes meet my own.
Come on. Let's go.
Okie dokie. The short distance between Kyoko's desk and the door soon finds us strolling together down the corridor. Only the occasional person passing by as a reminder of students find themselves either entwined in club activities or heading home. It's a life I was once familiar with, leaving class without any desire to further my time here. The bustling crowds quickly faded into quiet streets as I'd continue my day with no other plans but to spend time to myself. Now that the world has changed, now I have Kiyoko. So, what's your plan after this?
Plan?
Yeah, plan. What do you want to do after getting a drink? Quizzically tilting her head ever so acutely, Kiyoko returns my question with one of her own. Something so rare, the action itself catches me off guard, let alone her very words.
I don't know. Would it be okay to say I'm fine with spending time with you? It doesn't matter what we do.
Okay, Kiyoko. The pale shade of red on her cheeks, still a sign of her hashed embarrassment, as the sound of our steps continue dancing together between the confined walls. By now, she's probably learnt to curb such expression over a simple question between friends. Yet, as I've learned over the span of these several days, it's not like I don't want to see us go further than that. But there's something missing. Well, we'll think of something. You're clever, right?
I'm not that smart. There are plenty of things I don't know. Plenty of things I want to.
As we approach the stairwell taking us deeper into the school towards the cafeteria, Kiyoko's words hung on the air as her sound is replaced with that of our footsteps once again. Again and again. Oh, this again?
Hi. I don't have enough.
What are you going to say, that we need to chip in? With Kiyoko staring in awe at the machine before her, we both remain locked in a trance as neither of us continues breaking the ice on the conversation. Instead, a brief moment of silence gives way to the sounds of club activities in the distance. Cheers and shouts mixed in with the sounds of the musical clubs furthering the melody we've become accustomed to at this time of day. Out of so many people, to be standing here as a pair takes my mind away from the possibilities which could have been laid before us, before me. Now, Kiyoko now being such a major part of my role, our relationship has become the norm, shifting away a life which was once filled with apathy and bitterness. With all the people out there, Naomi's sure to be one of them too. Both girls now so present within my routine. Both girls now so present in my mind. Do you want any change?
Really? You do that?
No, I wouldn't. No, I'll just leave you there with a lack of change. No, of course we wouldn't do that. Of course! Quickly slipping my hand into my pocket, my fingertips are met with the cool metal of loose coins, as they make their way to Yoko's warm palm. Releasing them from my grip, her face lights up with joy as she turns back to the machine and slides them in.
There.
Ah, an audible thud sprays out from the machine as a small bottle of juice lands in the tray below. Kyoko's expression turning from one already filled with happiness to that of one overflowing with joy. Cracking open the seal, the bottle presses against her pink lips as she takes a long sip before pausing to turn to me. Traces of juice still lingering around her mouth as her lips shine in the light from above.
Do you want some? You did. I'll buy it after all.
Nah, it's yours. What?
I mean, do you want a sip?
Yeah, I knew that. But that's a pretty direct way of asking for an indirect kiss. And like a beacon, her cheeks quickly glow a shade of crimson as she pushes her eyes to avoid ours meeting together.
You mean we...
It's a saying, there's no need to get so worked up by it. Thinking about it now really makes me a little flustered too.
Still, with you, I wouldn't mind.
Aww.
Sharing the drink that is.
Her face continues to plunge further into the abyss of crimson. Yet I too can feel the warmth of my being pushed up to my cheeks. My heart, beating rhythmically, certainly feels faster than normal around her. Well, pass it here then. Trying to muster up some sort of composure, Kiyoko slowly passes the bottle towards me with the same flushed look coating her face. Her usual pale cheeks now glowing red as I take the bottle in my hand. Orange juice?
It's the best.
Aww. Her eyes briefly skirt away from my own, before returning back towards me as I slowly lift the half-drunk bottle towards my mouth. With nothing but sounds of other clubs gracing our ears in this empty hall. The entire situation is being extremely overplayed by the both of us. In one swoop motion. The rest of the drink flows down my throat as Kyoko's face quickly turns from one of sheepishness to shock.
You drink it all?
Hey, you did give it to us, didn't you? I thought that's what you wanted, right? Half each?
No. I just wanted you to try some. Nothing else.
But we didn't know that. You didn't tell us all the context of the situation. Kiyoko shyly peers away from me, less angered by the fact I'd finished her drink, but embarrassed by the fact that I drank it. I really guess sharing a drink with each other is too much for her. As we both bask in another round of silence, I watch over her as she fidgets with her fingers with her eyes pointed towards her feet. Seeing her this embarrassed, this reluctant to talk, It really is different from our usual time together. So, Kiyoko,
Yeah?
why did you form the club?
Haven't you already asked this?
No, I'm not sure. But even so, I'd still like to hear it. Focusing back towards me, Kyogo's eyes hold a faint look of reminiscence as she breathes softly amidst the lingering silence. Her nervousness all too apparent as she looks down within my eyes before turning her own away once again.
Well, I've always wanted to focus on academics. I want to go to university.
Knew about the university part, and somewhat apparent about the academics part.
But I want to share that passion with people too. When I joined the athletics team, someone shared their passion with me.
Naomi did.
I wasn't even a good runner. I wasn't really interested in that first. Really.
You can become good at something even though you're not particularly interested in it. Like, you have a natural ability for something, even though you don't really like it. But you may love something else but not be really good at it at first.
But that desire to share what I love, she taught me that. Naomi. That's why I'm glad. Someone finally joined. I'm glad you're here.
Aww. Looking back at me with a smile, a trace of crimson still marks Kyoko's cheeks as she resumes fidgeting with her fingers. It's a cute smile, one which I can cherish. It's a smile of sincerity. Well, I'm glad that you feel that way. Seeing her like this, it's not as if I can hold my composure either. I'm not that good at science. I don't really know much, but I'm happy to be a part of the club.
Really? That makes me happy.
Letting loose another smile filled with warmth, Kyoko pirouettes around, her hair swiftly gliding through the air as she returns her gaze back to me. This time, her embarrassed and sheepish expression is nowhere to be seen as she looks on with a friendly grin. That nervousness, once radiating from within her, replaced with a newfound confidence.
Well, there's not really much we can do. We should probably head home.
Ah, I wouldn't mind spending more time with you, but you're right. Responding to her own set of smiles with one of my own, Kyoko peers back with a look of resolve deep within her eyes. Our time together, despite now coming to an end, has only just started in the long run. I can't feel myself giving up on this feeling. From coming to meet her by chance, the fact that our friendship has progressed this far in such a short span of time ignites deep-rooted passions within me. Having had no real ambition or drive, seeing the level of zeal within her heart makes me question the feelings in my own. I want her to be happy. I want to help restore her friendship with Naomi. Yet, as we walk down the corridor together in silence, I can't help but think I want more than that. Still, with you, I wouldn't mind. I'm sure you wouldn't, Kiyoko. Bedroom. Not of Kiyoko. Captivated by the dust floating in the sunlight along the windowsill, I stare blankly towards the scene outside as the spring leaves flutter on the trees outside. The singing of birds in the distance bringing a subtle melody into this otherwise silent room. With such a state of tranquility right at my doorstep, it'd be wrong not to delve in thought with such a benign opportunity to do so now present. It's the same old story that's been waved into my life the past week. The story of two people's lives in turmoil as their hearts both bled with regret over past mistakes and misunderstandings. All I can do is question my own position in this story, having constantly been looking in as a bystander. What am I to gain out of the situation? A newfound friendship with two of the school's most famous individuals. It's hard to know whether that's what I really wanted. Having been given an outlet to pursue some kind of aspiration, I can't help but feel Oakholm's razor itself shave away at my own situation as I ponder my own reasoning. I'm with them because I like them. It's that simple. Knowing this, the desire to continue my friendship with both is unquenchable as I stare back at my own reflection in the window as the sun continues to set. Maybe this is what I'd been looking for all along, having only met Kiyoko not so long ago. It's strange to think about how far we've come together. A girl captivated by the world around her, to know that she finds some sort of interest in me as a warm thought. Once seen her as a mysterious, sensitive girl plagued by rumours and speculation, I've come to know her as a happy, energetic girl surrounded by tribulations. No matter what it is, the feelings inside my heart are more than enough to make me understand why I enjoy spending so much time with her. You love her. Yet through spending time with her, I've come to observe moments of sadness shine through her bright personality, the scars of her relationship with Naomi. For such wounds to heal, the coming days now rely solely on Naomi's actions to make things right again, to restore those bonds. I want to be able to help them. As my thoughts continue to well in my mind, the rigid wood of the chair meets my back as I stretch the stiffness out of my muscles. The evening light continues to seep through the windows before me, lighting up my personal sanctuary dimly as I once again stare towards nature's canvases beyond me. With the sounds of nature resonating from outside, the state of tranquility is soon disrupted with chimes from my pocket as my phone shakes about inside. Somebody is ringing us. I guess answering it will give me something to do. Unknown? Staring at the screen as the phone continues to ring, the absence of any recognizable name is more than enough to pique my wavering interest. Besides Naomi and Kiyoko, I can't imagine anyone else who'd call me at this hour. One swift tap on the screen is all that it'll take to find out. What about that other girl that Kiyoko hung out with? One at the cafe. Hello?
Hello, is this the Pizza Palace?
No. Pizza Palace? What kind of name is that?
Wait, is this who I think it is?
Cheetos from class?
Ah, I didn't know you worked at Pizza Palace.
No, I'm not at Pizza Palace. You must have you must have typed in the wrong number and somehow gotten mine. I don't. You're on my cell. Frankly, I'd argue the term cell phone is becoming dated, yet right now I could hardly consider it a major concern. On the other end of the line is one of my classmates, who I fondly recall calling me a loser.
I must have typed it in wrong. Anyway, I haven't got time for this. Have fun with Kiyoko.
Wait. Cheetos remains on the line now, permitting with a brief moment of silence. What's your problem with her? Ever since her scathing attacks against me, I couldn't help but think about Kiyoko's own relationship with our classmates. Having seen the extent of which the rumours surrounding her have gone, is something I can't stop myself from asking.
I don't have one.
Well, it seems like you do, by your voice.
It's just...
By the rumours that you've heard.
You've heard the rumors, right? How could someone like her show up the rest of the team by cheating? Someone like her doesn't deserve to be by
Naomi? I couldn't consider that surprising. Given her popularity, it's not unreasonable that such speculation surrounding their relationship has ignited the flames of gossip ever since that race. Cheetos is a little bit jealous, if you ask me. If people truly think Kiyoko cheated, Naomi die-hard fans surely have something to say about it. Cheetos must be one of them.
It's nothing.
Just what?
I'll see you in class tomorrow. Probably.
Falling into silence once again, our call ends with nothing but confusion lingering within the depths of my mind. It's strange to think how much influence two fairly ordinary girls have over the rest of the students in the school. Cheetos probably likes Naomi. Many people do. Regardless, as the evening sky continues to fade into darkness, exhaustion itself catches up with me as I once again crack my joints and stretch. With a new day ahead, anticipation for the future swells in my heart as the rhythmic path of my life continues in some undefined direction. No matter what lies before me, there's no doubt in my mind that it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to getting back to the science club. Yeah, you've heard the rumours, right? Yeah, we've all been too fond of these rumours that we've all known about since the beginning of the game. What? We skipped the entire day? It's now 5:15 in the afternoon. I guess time really does fly when you're having fun. With the end of day bell chiming methodically once more, a familiar sound breaking apart the silence of the room, our day is brought to the official end with a few departing words from the teacher.
I want you all to have finished this by next week.
Thank you, Mr.
A
Kabar.
procrastinating populace damages the country, you know.
Thanks. In retrospect, I should probably submit a formal apology to the local prefecture office for all the harm I've caused. Finishing his sentence with his own sigh of relief, the class bursts out into chorus as conversations and gossip re-emerge out from the hearts of my classmates. Words and thoughts inhabited by the school routine, now out in the wild once more, as the afternoon light seeps through the glass windows of the room. I can't help but think how predictable the scenario really is. Ending my day with the warmth of the sun caressing my cheeks as I ponder how to approach the small brunette bundle of energy sitting at the front of the room. The girl known as Kiyoko Ishikawa.
Hey, what are you doing tonight? There's a new show on. I really want to watch it. You sure? You know we have midterms soon, right?
Yep.
What's the point? We all know who's going to top them.
Meh. Listen to the passing gossip as I make my way towards Kyoko's chair. I can't help but agree with her voices passing through the cluttered sounds of the room. Yeah, I can't help but feel she'd be disappointed if I didn't put some effort in either.
Hey, what are you doing tonight?
I don't know. Why do you care?
But you're supposed to study.
Oh really? Are you going to say that you don't study because you're naturally smart? I'm joking. Or at least something like that. As people before me wave out and around the desk towards the door, I find myself skirting through my classmates to finally approach Kyoko's desk. At the end of the day, it's another trip to the science club. Despite things starting to come to a close, a sinking feeling tugs at the bottom of my heart, dragging it further down into a sea of thought I can't escape from. Until Naomi decides to approach Kiyoko, all I can do is ride this wave of tranquility and enjoy my time with her without involving myself in their relationship. You excited for the club?
What?
Turning her head sharply to face me, a jolt of surprise rushes through Kiyoko. She shakes back in her seat, eyes widened with fright. What's wrong?
Nothing. I was just about to ask you that. That's all.
We took away your mojo again. You didn't even know I was here.
Before I turned around, you could have been. It's a quantum superposition.
Right. A what?
You're either behind me or not until I check.
Once again, a communications barrier between me and little Miss Einstein. Regardless, she stands before me complacently with her rosy cheeks puffed out in a pout. I can know for sure that she's proud of herself for knowing such complicated phrases and quotes.
You're excited though, right?
Excited to be with you, yes, not about the science itself. I can hardly say I've ever been excited for a club, yet it would be a lie to say that I don't enjoy going there. From roping me into a club in an almost puppy dog manner, to casually spending our days together, being with her in itself is enjoyable, from what she said and from her very actions. It's clear she enjoys it too. All in all, I couldn't consider that a bad thing. Not at all. But yeah, sure.
Great, let's go.
Let's get going, Tiger. Stepping out from her desk, Kiyoko looks towards me with a grin plastered on her cute face. An adorable sight of friendship lighting up the room. At least, metaphorically, given the time we spent together. I can't help but cherish the sight of her smile. A contrast to the woes she's been carrying all too long. I can only pray that things go well with Naomi. As she bats her hair behind her back, stroking it gently as it frays out beautifully like a chocolate fountain, she lifts her head up, peering briefly towards me before breaking contact once again. Taking a step forward, Kiyoko joins me at my side as we venture out together into a crowded corridor.
Finally, we get to go home. I hate economics.
I hate
What
economics.
happened to your basketball training?
Yeah,
What? Oh, right.
is that cancelled?
Well, skipping a day can't hurt, can it?
Listening to the intermittent chatter as I wave through the crowd with Kiyoko, my mind returns to a state of thought as the girl to my side remains in her own silent trance. A girl captivated by the mysteries of the world, prodding them with her own inquisitivity, looking out for results. For a scientist, she certainly prioritizes fun over actual knowledge. I'm not sure what she gets out of doing our experiments besides the thrill of possibly burning the school down. Such a thought makes me ponder where her profound energy was directed before she joined a club, before she was kicked off the track team, when she was with Naomi instead of me. The thought of her dark hair rustling from the speed of her sprinting down the track, adorned in traditional bloomers and shirts, she doesn't seem like a spats type of girl. Yet as much as she seems to want to cherish the time she spent with Naomi, taking the final steps to bring them together is no longer in my hands. With thoughts of what life must have been like for Kiyoko between splitting from Naomi and meeting me, I can't help but feel happy for her. A warmth at the depths of my heart, knowing how alone she must have felt with her relationship severed. A cold world before her with half the school talking behind her back. In a way, I'm glad I found her. Catching glimpses of Kiyoko's cheerful expression reflected from the glass panes skirted down the corridor, a calm feeling washes over me, and sense of solidarity. Despite the troubles in her school life, she skips cheerfully down the corridor with a smile adorned on her cute face. No real care in the world. Inside she hurts, yet somehow content with the life she's living, happy she can rummage through her heart to find some kind of fun in her daily life. Arriving at the labs, Kiyoko turns towards me, her brunette lock of hair gliding through the air as she now faces me. Happiness coating her face, her lips curled up into a smile as a rosy bloom caresses her cheeks. It's this image which has kept me here.
We're here.
We're here. I know that. Do you need a hand setting up stuff today? With time itself continuing to pass, I have to at least engage myself in the club activities at some point.
Yeah. I'd really like that.
You would!
We need the Bunsen burners and the measuring cylinders. I'll get the beakers.
Okie dokie. Haphazardly lifting her lab coat from a nearby chair and squeezing into it, Kiyoko makes her way to a set of drawers at the far end of the room, squatting down to find the beakers. Despite it being a sight, I can't ignore the task handed down to me. Gripping the slender handles of a nearby cupboard, I scout out the rest of the equipment as Kiyoko hums diligently in the background. Living life like this is not all that bad.
Could you get some universal indicator? I'll handle the more serious stuff.
Given her track record, ruining her clothes and blasting the room with a blitz of smoke, you'd think I'd be the one trusted with the hazardous stuff. Yet as clumsy as she is, Kyoko's intellect far outmatches my own. I can't even tell the difference between a compound and a molecule. Sure. As the time washes over us, I continue onwards, watching Kiyoko frantically scurry around the room as she continues setting up a makeshift experiment. Each time we come here, things continue to get more and more complex as she maintains the same upbeat smile on her face. Lips curled up in joy as they glisten in the ever-sinking sun as the afternoon turns to evening.
I think I need a break. I'm thirsty.
You want to get some orange juice? Is that what it's going to resort to? What about the experiment?
I can do that later. I really want some juice.
Okie pokey. What happened to that drink for intellectuals you had before?
The school doesn't sell them. And I drink the rest.
You sure that's good for you?
Of course. But juice is even better. You want some?
I'm okay, thanks.
But we could share some.
I'll think about it. Looking towards me with a weary smile, Kiyoko walks back towards the door as she unsheaths herself from her lab coat. Regardless of her wearing it, I can't help but find, her behaviour channeling her inner well of eccentricity as she bursts out each sentence joyfully. From the outside, nobody would ever think she'd be carrying so much pain. Finishing off by running her fingers through her hair, Kiyoko gestures towards the door as we make our way out into the corridor once again. A duo on a journey to quench our thirst, but it's not as if I'm particularly thirsty. Yet as Kiyoko sways her arms by her sides as we stroll down the now empty halls, I can't help but appreciate that this reality has become routine. Pushing the doors to the cafeteria open, the two of us walk inside, greeted by a state of silence as the room remains as empty as the corridors. I guess at this point of the day, with what people either in clubs or at least home, we can actually cherish each other's company a little bit more than usual.
Do you want a juice? I'll buy you one.
Once again peering towards me with a beam, Kyoko's cheeks remain mildly flustered as she anticipates my response. Her faint breathing still noticeable amidst the silence, her mouth ajar as she tries to capture herself within our awkward state. I'm okay. If I'm thirsty, I'll just have a sip of yours.
That's good with me. But you're my friend. I want to buy you one. You've stuck with me. You haven't quit the club. That's more than I can ask for.
Aww. Eyes now facing the floor with a saddened expression still visible on her delicate face. I can't help but feel bad for not accepting her offer. She clearly wants to make something up for me, despite not owing me a cent. If you insist, I'll have a soda.
Not an orange juice? That's my favorite.
I'm not a kid.
High school students can enjoy juice too.
Yeah, exactly. With a pout, Kiyoko lifts her arms to her chest in a rejection of my stance. Eyes fixed towards my own with some kind of emotional desolence as she continues to breathe heavily in anger. Maybe you can. You're pretty childlike after all.
I'm not. I'm a mature woman.
Okay. Moving my eyes down slowly, I can't really think of any part of that could be called mature, exactly. Showing her back to me with mock detest, Kiyoko approaches the vending machine almost timidly as she looks around for our drinks.
There it is!
Sniping the button with enthusiasm, a small can is quickly grabbed by the machine and falls down into the slot below, shortly followed by another. The prior discontent on her face now gone as she turns back towards me with a grin. extending out my soda in ferocious flash.
Here.
Hello, thanks. Turning her side towards me, Kiyoko looks away sheepishly as she opens the seal to her juice, placing her lips against the rim as she gently takes sip after sip. Sip after sip, I mean. As we idle at the side of the hall, it doesn't take long for us both to finish our drinks as the sun ever looms through the windows, marking a makeshift signal that time has probably passed a little too much. Yet I don't see either of us having a problem with that. Engrossed in our own company, the two of us walk leisurely towards the doors, prolonging our time together as the club comes to an end. The experiment we were supposed to have done now at the back of our minds, the single clank of my can hitting the bottom of the trash bin being the only sound calling out as the two of us bask in each other's company. No words needed as we happily make our way back down the corridor. You've stuck with me. You haven't quit the club. Sweet. Slicing through the rays of sunlight, warmth greets my skin with evening now settling in. Kiyoko and I, side by side, making our way back to the labs to finish our day off. A state of silence, bar the typical idle sounds throughout the school, remains unbroken as we continue our approach towards the club. Our footsteps maintaining steady percussion without any particular melody to support. No real direction, but not being lost either. Taking one last look to my side, a very familiar smile stays upon Kyoko's face. Her cheeks rosy in the setting sun, lights flickering. Flickering? I don't know why I thought there was an extra L in there. In her chestnut eyes as she looks on without any real direction her own. I'd hardly ask about her ambition, her dream, still without paying much attention to my own. The thoughts of the future now faded as a new routine bloomed within the present. A blossom of activity flowering in my day-to-day life. That in itself is acceptable for now.
Did you have fun today?
I had plenty of fun today, thank you very much. But all we did was get drinks. We didn't do that experiment.
Did you have fun today?
No way about beating around the question, are we? In a way, spending time with her is still fun. Yeah, I did.
Good.
Aww. Joyfully skipping along, Kiyoko lags behind as I approach the door to the lab. The door, left slightly ajar, lets out the light from inside as the sound of footsteps stop behind me. You left it open, right?
What? No. Why would I do that?
I don't know. Just in case anyone showed up wanting to join? Taking a step forward, Kiyoko remains behind me as I look through the thin gap into the room. In all honesty, I wouldn't have been surprised if it were a teacher inside. Yet the sight that greets my eyes certainly is a surprise. A flowing lock of urban hair, a pure white shirt and a skirt slightly ruffled by the breeze from an open window. A slight glint of sweat against her skin as she idles at a nearby desk, arms crossed characteristically as her eyes face down towards the floor. Naomi. Taking no heed of my presence, she continues to aimlessly look around the lab as she stands complacently waiting for presumably our return. She must have known we left. A glum look coats her face as she turns away to peer towards another part of the room. A visible look of nervousness as her faint shaking ruffles the cuffs of her shirt.
Is anyone there?
I'm not sure. Keeping my voice low, Kiyoko works her way around behind me. The sight of Naomi is still obscured by my back. The presence of Naomi is a clear indication she wants to settle things now, to overcome the issues in the past and rebuild the bonds between them. Yet somehow, having been involved in this too, a mutual feeling of nervousness works its way through my body.
Let's go inside. If anyone's there, we can greet them.
Yes, Kiyoko, I'm sure you would like that. Squeezing her way past me with warmth of her body contrasts against the chill flowing down my spine as Naomi turns her head to face us. A melancholic look shifting into one of shock. Where? Despite having grown close to Naomi, I didn't expect to bear witness to her redemption in person. I didn't expect her to want me to see this. As silence spans the room, the two girls continue gazing inquisitively towards the other. Both of their faces progressing slowly towards Wu as the other's presence begins setting in. With Naomi's expression stuck in a mix of sad and embarrassed, Kyoko's own begins to turn into one of sullen resentment as she steps forward, uncharacteristically taking the first steps to speak up.
What are you doing here?
I just wanted to say something.
My own emotions riled, nervousness filling my heart as the situation begins to unfold. Naomi's own voice remains composed as Kiyoko glares towards her, almost in anger. The chains of her past breaking as the pain inside her sets free. A girl usual cheerful, energetic and happy now resenting the person standing before her. The source of her suffering.
What is there to say?
Anger seeping from her voice, Kiyoko remains frozen as Naomi fidgets timidly with her hair, her eyes locked to the floor. Never would I have imagined such a complete personality swap.
I wanted to talk to you.
Catching a glimpse of Kyoko's pain as she briefly turns to me, my own interpretation of the situation, she continues forward as the emotions inside her spiral out of control.
Really? You want to talk? After what you did, you want to talk?
I want to do something about this. I want them both to be happy. But as much as I've been there for them, this is something they should decide on their own. Knowing I'm involved would shatter Kyoko's heart, yet bringing them this moment was a risk I had to take. The passion in Naomi's heart convincing me that she's not a bad person. Regardless of the past, I want them to have a future together. Kyoko's own emotions sink faster into dejection as tears well beneath her hazel eyes, a feeling reflected in Naomi's own. Looking towards her, she opens her mouth slowly before beginning to unleash the feelings locked at the depths of her heart.
Please. Is that too much to ask? It's not what you think. Really.
Tears streaming down her reddened cheeks, the light catches them like diamonds as Naomi wipes away the shiny allure. Her skin glossed with a mix of sweat and teardrops, nervousness and sadness pushed into one. As their sentiment tugs on my heartstrings, the scene continues to unfold before my eyes. All I can do is watch the pained history between two old friends unravel through teardrops and resentment.
You came here to destroy our friendship, didn't you? Just like you did ours.
Didn't.
Can't you just leave me alone?
That's not... I can't.
A flood of tears seep through their faces, their inner feeling unleashed through the strained words and sniffles, stray breaths, tight grips, shaking bodies. The embodiment of sadness itself as Naomi's nails dig into her skin and Kiyoko clenches her wrist.
Don't understand.
Of course I understand!
Footsteps rain out sharply, filling the room with sound as Kyoko's voice echoes throughout. But that must have been loud considering that the text was in bold writing. Her small, frail body disappearing from view as a feeling rushes past me. The only thing remaining the sight of Naomi's tear-struck face as she stares back towards me with an equal amount of shock. The feelings once welled within my heart telling me what to do as they rise up, boiling over passionately as the image of Kyoko's teary face flashes in my mind.
Don't just stand there. Go. I'll be fine.
You won't. Rushing out of the room, the image of Naomi shifts quickly to the empty corridors as our legs pump rhythmically in motion. Leaving her alone is bad enough, but I don't see her as the type to hold it against me. Over the past few days I've learnt she's not going to give up on Kiyoko. I don't want to either. Classroom doors whizzing past me in a sprint as I reach the staircase, frantically shifting my body down the steps as I chase after Kiyoko. The sounds of her cries get louder and louder as I approach the courtyard with a ragged breath, with her being the only thing on my mind. Kiyoko!
I guess I've lost it. A bit since then. Huh. We don't do much running in the science club, do we?
Kiyoko?
Do you want to hear the truth? Or do you just want me to keep lying to you?
What? Turning to face me, Kyoko's face remains stained with tears as she continues to weep. Her sharp breath cutting between her cries and sniffles as she stands ahead. No longer the cheerful girl I've become so accustomed to. Kiyoko.
Please.
The truth then. Letting out her feelings to me, Kyoko wipes away the tears dripping from her cheeks as she continues with ragged breath. Her cries now muffled by nervousness as she tries to gather herself. Her past now before her, she faces it head on.
I've told you before, right?
Without any interjection from myself, Kiyoko continues forward with strained breaths, muttering out the words held at the back of her mind.
I used to be on the athletics team.
Yep. The story itself familiar, yet the sight of Kiyoko still strains my heart as she bats her eyes away, tears wailing beneath them.
I was good too, but you wouldn't let me run anymore. She wouldn't let me race. She ruined it for me. Do you really think I can forgive her? She was such a friend, but...
There's no doubt that she's watching from the windows. A pained history welling up through anger as Kiyoko turns away, tears once again flowing from her eyes as they drop to the ground, shattering like glass as I watch them fall. Starved for words as my mouth remains ajar, heart beating in agony as I watch her suffer, alone in the cold vast world.
She sabotaged the other runners, and they blamed it on me. I was banned from the team. Do you see why I can't forgive her? Even though...
That's the important part though in this entire conundrum. Even though... Kiyoko. A heartbroken girl before her. Whether stepping in now is right or not isn't the question. It's whether I want to. Seeing her like this, clothes stained with tears as she tucks her head into her hands. I don't want her to be alone anymore. Maybe it wasn't like that.
But the other members, they were jealous. They pressured her to get me out of the club. Why else would she do it? I thought she was my friend. I thought you were my friend.
Of course I'm your friend. I am your friend. That's why I can't see you hurt like this. Gosh. Glaring towards me with her anger now spiraling out of control. All I can do is tell her the truth. Naomi's truth. My truth. Do you really think she'd come back for you? Do you think that she'd want forgiveness if she didn't miss you? I don't know what went on in your lives, how close you two really were, but I sure as hell know that Naomi still wants you in hers. How painful it is for her. For you. She just wanted you to win, because you were her friend. Surely you can give her that chance. A moment of silence resting between us. Kiyoko looks to the ground as her breathing settles softly. Her prior anger dissipates as she loses herself in her thoughts.
You really think so?
Her voice strained. Kiyoko looks back towards me, cheeks damp with tears and eyes reddened, a complete contrast to her usual cute and upbeat allure. Of course I do. Naomi is hurt too. I don't think she can forgive herself either. You were best friends after all. Her breathing now settled, Kiyoko wipes her cheeks once again as her fingers glisten, covered in tears. It's not a beautiful sight, yet seeing her regain some form of composure is reassuring at the least. Finishing her brief pause, she aims her eyes towards me once again, glossed with her remaining teardrops as she slowly parts her quivering flushed lips.
I'll think about it.
Forgiving someone is hard, but for her not to take this chance, she'll never be able to repair the torn bonds between her and Naomi. Seeing the tears trickle down her face is evident enough she's taken a step out of her comfort zone.
But
What? Aww.
thank you.
Aww, isn't that sweet? Hey, we get to see what we look like as well. In a flash, I find myself within Kiyoko's embrace as she takes me in her arms. A warm breath against my ears as she nestles her tear-soaked face into my neck. The warmth of her body, a stark contrast against the cool evening air. What? Stumbling back on my shoes and my own words, Kiyoko falls close to me as we fall back before regaining balance.
I'm hugging you. What do you think I'm doing?
Well, we know that, but it was just so sudden, that's all. The feeling's still somewhat foreign as she brushes against me, her hair stroking my face as her words cross the thin gap to my ears. I've never had a girl this close to me before.
You don't have to say it.
Speaking my words aloud, Kiyoko lets out a faint giggle, close enough to send a tingly feeling throughout my body. But why?
Because you've been here for me. It means a lot.
Aw,
So, I wanted to thank you.
yikes. With her breath in my ear, cheeks still moist with her prior tears and her warmth against my own, I can't help savor the moment as Kiyoko trails off into silence, seemingly enjoying it herself. The fruity citrus smell of her shampoo meeting my nostrils as her hair rests nuzzled against my neck. I could get used to this.
Anyway.
Yeah? Breaking our brief embrace, Kiyoko looks away timidly, wiping off the few tears she still clung against her pale skin as her previous frown is nowhere to be found. Ah, her lips now curled upwards in a cute, endearing smile, one I've been longing to see.
It might take some time, but I'll try it. I'll try to accept her.
The voice doesn't seem so otherwise, but the intent is there. Peering off into the distance, Kiyoko's eyes parts from my own briefly, giving me a chance to observe her once again. This girl, now complacent in the spring breeze as her rosy cheeks begin to dry in the evening air, is one of a kind. With her silky hair fluttering in the breeze, she finally returns my gaze, matching it with yet another smile.
Do you want to walk home together?
I don't see why not. Having left Naomi behind in the club room, I can't help but feel her eyes from the window above, overlooking the schoolyard and what seems to be the start of an emotional reunion. Both now ready to start the process of welding their broken bonds back together. I'll just have to message her later, reflecting back on our embrace. All that's on my mind now are thoughts of Kiyoko, thoughts I can't bear to shake. I'll try it. I'll try to accept her. The science lab again. Act 3. Bonded together. Achievement unlocked. Chasing futures. The school gates, a barrier to the newfound world I've grown to know, skims through my vision as I pass by. Well, wasn't that an exhilarating bit of story that just transpired there, folks? So, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see how this endeavour grows in the next time of Chemically Bonded. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care of yourselves.